Google is adamant that overall total organic click volume from Google search has been relatively stable year over year, according to Google VP and head of search, Liz Reed. The blog post goes on to cite that those who are reporting search is disrupted don't have all the facts or are slicing and dicing the data incorrectly. But we're here to bring you our experience and conclusions we have come up with after chatting with many industry leaders about said issue, and you decide. Trust us or trust the company that had a lawsuit about, and settled $100 million because they stole a bunch of money from people with fake clicks, right? So who are you going to trust? That's not Liz Reed. Not saying that she's the one that did that, but Google as a whole, I think we're pretty, for this panel, we think Google's disrupted. Welcome back to the High Ground Podcast, everybody, the show that guides small business leaders to the top. Here, we break down leadership, business, and marketing, not for Wall Street, but for Main Street. A few times each month, we drop episodes designed to help you find the clearest path toward the top while avoiding all the pitfalls along the way. And today, we've got a full crew. We got Todd, Joe, and myself, which means 3 perspectives, 3 lessons, and plenty of insights that you can take straight back to your business. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
So good, man. Just came from the Kearney Chamber of Commerce, where I got to talk about some things that we're going to be talking about today. Some Google business profile, what's really going to help move the needle for their marketing, for their bottom line in this economy and this time. Help them stand out.
That's awesome. Todd, how you doing?
All the same.
Yeah, all the same.
I'm trying to think of
he was also there.
I'm trying to think of a clever answer. I'm like, the wheels are spinning. I'm throwing that. Locked and loaded, buddy.
All right, cool.
You know, I still have my name tag on from the chamber event. Hope everybody likes that.
Awesome. Well, we've got 4 great topics today. One's going to be centered around GBP, the Google Business Profile. We're going to talk a little bit about the great Google disruption or lack of disruption. The silver tsunami is another topic that we didn't get to cover last week that I think will be very interesting. And then obviously we're going to close it out with some leadership topics. And these are going to be books that have reshaped our leadership mentality or just the way our brain is wired from us 3. So to kick it off in the first segment, we have been seeing some recent conversations with prospects and partners, and something has them questioning whether they should be focusing on their Google Business Profile. And I think we can all agree it's a humongous yes. You should be focusing on your Google Business Profile. It is the number 1 most important marketing channel for local small businesses and often treated as the ugly stepchild. But picture this, a homeowner with water on the basement floor. They Google 24/7 plumber near me. What decides who gets the call? The map pack, star rating, number of reviews, photos, and something that says open now. You're not wanting to jump to people's websites. And so it is being treated like the ugly stepchild. I think businesses understand how important it is, but do you think, Joe, is guiding the reaction to people like maybe not staying on the Google Business Profile train and kind of maybe abandoning it, moving budget away from it? What do you think is guiding that? And kind of give me your opinion on the topic.
Well, I kind of resent the ugly stepchild remark since I am the ugly stepchild of my family. But no, I think even more than that, what I'm seeing is Google Business Profile. So for those of our listeners who don't know, when you do that Google search on your phone or on your computer or iPad, and it comes up with those 3 things that are formatted the same next to a map, well, that is your Google Business Profile. And everybody can get that for free. In fact, the internet will just make them for you sometimes. But they are not necessarily very good. And I think to some degree, it's kind of the air that people breathe, because it's like, it's just there all the time, no matter what. And I think sometimes people have really bad Google Business Profiles, GBPs, and they don't know what to do about it. They think that's just kind of the air that I breathe. That's how it is on the internet. That's how I live there. They don't realize there's anything that can be done to fix it. They don't search for themselves on Google. They just don't really know what's going on behind it. And I think part of that is because our industry, unfortunately, a lot of people in our industry, they don't really make money off the Google business profile.
Mm.
So they push you to other things, right? It would be easier if we were a company that didn't have integrity to say, oh, you came to us because you want leads. Let's sell you Google ads. Let's do our SEO package before we do anything else. And we don't even mention the Google business profile, or maybe we do a one-time optimization because we don't make money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the more leads that somebody's getting from their Google business profile, where people don't get leads, the less money they want to spend with us to get more leads. I think, which by the way, I think is backwards, but I think that that's how a lot of marketing agencies handle
Mm-hmm.
it. So they just don't even push people to that. So a lot of even really savvy business owners and managers don't know anything about it. I hear it all the time. Oh, I didn't realize that. I was just in a room with 40 business leaders here in Kansas City. And for a lot of them, they didn't even think to mention it when I was asking about best forms of marketing today. They talked about
Mm-hmm.
a lot of other things. That was not one that they mentioned because their marketing people don't talk about it. So I don't know. Did that help answer the question? I kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent there because I get
Yeah,
pretty
no, I
fired up
loved it.
about this.
I loved it. I think you're spot on. You know, what are these other marketing agencies just not drawing attention to it? You know, they want to sell the big flashy things that, you know, make them the most amount of money. And you know, usually it's going to be social media. It's like, hey, we need to push you to social media and do you know, video creation and maybe SEO and PPC. And those things are great and they work really
Are they
well.
though?
But I mean, I think they're great. However, you can't put the cart before the horse before you have a
Yes.
Google business profile. You know, it doesn't matter how great your video is. I'm not going to remember your name. You know, I might remember your name and then do a search, and I'm expecting a Google business profile to pop up, and maybe it's not there, or it lacks uh, positive reviews or any reviews, or it's not completely built out. I'm going to start having second guesses on whether I choose you, even though your ad or your commercial or whatever I saw that prompted me there. I might have second guesses if that thing's not built out because it's such a foundational piece that I think most businesses should have built out from the get go.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that I often talk about too with marketing is people spend a lot of money, and right now social media is the big sexy thing for marketing. So people can spend a lot of money on that because again, some marketer has told them that's the thing that's going to get you to grow. And I think for a lot of businesses, it is something that's going to get them to grow. But it's kind of like you said, cart before the horse. That is something once you have your ecosystem of a strong digital presence built out, that starts to just compound. But
Mm-hmm.
starting there, it has worked for some companies, right? That's why we talk about it. Is it's gone viral with a cool video and some cheeky posts or something like that. But for the vast majority, it just doesn't work like that. It's once you have
Yeah.
something else built out well, that helps you compound. Sorry, I'm talking a lot here.
Yeah, no, it's great. We get fired up about it. I mean, I'm curious, you know, Todd, from the CEO seat, you know, what's your opinion? Like, why should business owners, you know, making these decisions go into their marketing, especially at our level, maybe don't have a in-house marketing director or somebody that's helping them out. And so business owners are making this decision in most of the cases when it comes to Main Street small business. So what would you tell the business owners about the Google business profiles? Do you agree with everything Joe's saying? Slightly different? What's your opinion on it?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. We're built based on executing around the fundamentals of search. So there's loads of options out there where people can be distracted, and digital solutions, if you will, paid ad campaigns or paid social, ad campaigns, videos, syndicated videos, and such. There's lots of options out there. We're a foundation up company, and so there's others that will, build parts, in our opinion, of what an online web presence would look like, and it's always to the what purpose. So again, going back to the fundamentals, you said foundational. I would say block and tackling, and I've used, in the consults of people that I work with, and I'm the fundamentals guy, and the Google Business Profile is the ace of spades in a deck of 52. It
100%.
is the card that wins almost every time. And
Mhm.
so to me, it's super important. So it's the house on which the rest of, here we go, an organic web presence, which would include a website, which would include a piece of social collateral called Facebook and others. But again, the fundamentals of the big three, in my opinion, and it hasn't wavered. It's not more than my opinion; it's fact. People will go to your website, your Facebook, and your Google Business Profile, and not just one, minimum of two. You should build a web presence around the probability that all three will be checked out when they're evaluating who they're going to go with. So they know what they need, the product or service that they need. They just don't know who, and those are credentials. Those are reputation.
Mhm.
So, the sermon that I preach, if you will, the fundamentals is take a leg off a three-legged stool, and what do you have?
Yeah. I think, on the Google Business Profile, a big piece. So there's actually two things. One first thing I want to hit on is yes, a website, yes, a Facebook. The great thing about the Google Business Profile is when you do a search, it's a minimal click, right? So it's like here's the call button. Like call them right from the search engine results page. Um, it's way easier than having to go into somebody's website or go into their Facebook page and different things. And so it gets used often. I think the most recent results is like 35% of searches are people clicking the map pack results. And if you're not in that top 3
Right?
position, you're just missing out on being in the decision pool, right? And you want to get to those 3 positions. But I really want to slow down and make sure that the people that are listening right now are hearing one thing clearly. Yes, having a Google Business Profile is important. Is your Google Business Profile ranking? Because you might have one, right? And you're thinking, oh, okay, great, small potatoes, I've got one. But is it built out? Is it optimized? Are you ranking in the top 3 positions? Are you ranking number 1? Is it generating traffic and leads and opportunities for your business? Those are the questions that you need to really ask yourself to identify whether it is truly built out and optimized and has the right keywords and is, built to the gills, as I like to tell our team. Is like this thing needs to be built to the gills. Having one is easy. Making sure it's optimized uh, isn't difficult, not the most difficult thing in the world, but you need to kind of know what you're doing. And we'll get into some tactical things to leave you guys with
Yeah.
here.
Now,
Any
quick
any
question.
comments?
What
Yeah, go
you
ahead.
use the word optimize like 3 or 4 times. What is that? And why mess with it? What does it do? Why? What does it provide for me?
Yeah, I mean,
Sounds technical to some people.
optimize just means that you've I don't know. Now you're putting me on the spot for I'm not Merriam-Webster. I don't know necessarily
It's
the
it's
definition. Uh,
optimizing is making sure that it's performing at its pinnacle, right? So
yeah.
Yeah.
you want it to be accurate and updated because Google is going to be trolling all the time. They're going to be seeing what's the best because they want to provide the best experience for their customers. Their customers are everybody in the world who uses Google, right? 89%, I think, is the most recent that I've seen. 89% of people are doing search on Google, which is significantly down from where it was 2 years ago because of our friend AI, probably. But it's so many people are using Google and they want people to be able to go. And when I click on good Indian food near me, they want to show me the best Indian food that's going to give me the best experience so that I always use Google. And it's synonymous with me for searching.
Hmm.
Is I use Google and then I'm going to keep on using that and that they can monetize because people are using their platform. So they want to see that the page is built out, that it's up to date, that somebody's paying attention to it and it's accurate. And when they can tell that's happening, then they are going to promote you. And
Hmm.
it's how do we do that? That's the technical piece.
Hmm.
Joe, I boiled this down. Keep thought. I just say it's visually enhanced. It's got more value, if you will, to the viewer, and so Google gives this thing to us. And the wisdom is if Google gives you something and it provides an opportunity, max it out. because they didn't do it
Hmm.
for free. And the Google exists to sell ads to people. How do they do it? By pleasing the people that are using them for free, if you will, as a browser, trying, products, services, shop, etc. And so to visually enhance is to add value based on what Google would say to this name, address, phone number, and domain. And by doing that and engaging it regularly with fresh content, so there's a demand, there's a time demand, and there's sophistication, which means that it demands time, it demands money from the smallest of businesses, right? So it absolutely is kind of damned if you don't. I mean, if you're given something by Google and you want to rank and you're going to monetize your business through being found in search to solve somebody's problem, this is mission critical
Yeah.
to us. Is it everything? No. Is it the keystone? The foundation? Absolutely is. So to add
Absolutely.
value for Google is to visually enhance your Google business profile and actively engage it over time to make sure that Google can see that there's fresh, relevant content coming to it. They're going to serve your food.
Yeah. And my answer to the optimization, I guess, now that I had a little bit of time to hear you guys, is, this is how I put it in my words: is play the game.
Yeah.
Play the game. Don't half-ass it. Right? It's make sure everything is built
Yeah.
out. Make sure that everything is there that Google's giving you the possibility to do. And I can take it a little bit further and kind of give value right on this call. So these are the things. These are three kind of pillars that you need to make sure your Google Business Profile is focusing on. But before I do that, I would kind of want to show Jeff. I would like you to kind of show up the local pack search factors on the screen for the audience. And there's actually two parts of the SERPs page, search engine results pages. So there's organic and there's local pack, right? And there's a percentage. The percentage of your Google Business Profile is 32% of the factor of whether people you will show up in those top three positions. So not playing the game, not having it built out, you're missing out on a pretty significant piece of the pie. And it also has a pretty significant piece of the pie when it comes to like true organic below the map pack. And so I'll have Jeff kind of throw that up as well so that you can have some education here. Website, Google Business Profile. We talked a little bit about the Facebook, those two things. Facebook and Google Business Profile, you got to get figured out. If you don't have those two things working tandem with one another, you're just not playing the game. And you're not playing to win at the very least. And so I said I would give you like our tactical playbook. Um, Number one thing that you should look at is like, is your primary category matching? There's like over 200 plus different primary categories. A little story: we had a plumbing company who came to us, and on this plumbing company, their primary category was plumbing supply store, right? And they just weren't getting, and it was pretty much they were built out completely. They were playing the game, or so they thought. They just didn't have the right category. So check your primary category and add one or two secondary categories that match services that you want to offer. Don't add any more than that. So it will give you the option to add more secondary categories. We've seen it work against us if you're adding more than two additional categories in the secondary bucket.
Can I add something
Joe?
to this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say, so if you are somebody who's like, I don't ever get into my Google business, go to business.google.com. And if you type that in and hit enter, if you've ever signed in, should give you a sign in page,
Mhm.
or maybe you're already signed in or something like that. And then go into just edit your page. You're going to see a lot of there.
Yeah, it's going to give you step by step instructions on how to start to play the game, and give you some tips and tricks by listening to this podcast. Is the next thing you want to look at in terms of getting found and visible? Make sure you add your services, your products with descriptions, prices, price ranges, if that's applicable to your industry. Make sure your services and or your products are built out and have descriptions. That's often missed, right? So I have all my name, my address, my phone number, good to go, but you don't add your services, it hinders you being able to be searched up. And then if you're a service area business, make sure you put your service area the places you want to be. Even better yet, if you're a service area business, but you want to focus on your backyard, let's say you work outside of your house, all of the Google business profiles we've worked on, it is a game changer by publishing your address, even if it's your home address. I know it's uncomfortable, but we see massive
Yes,
lift within days of switching from hidden address to a published address, even if it's your home.
100%.
And then reviews. Got to get reviews. Jeff, throw that screenshot up there. When we're looking at what it's 16%. Reviews play a 16% percentage of the pie on whether you show up in search for your Google Map pack. So get reviews. You need lots of them, and you need lots of 5-star reviews, and you need people to write in their reviews. A 5-star with no description isn't great. Joe, what do you got to add on to that?
Thank you. My wife is a fifth grade teacher, so I still raise my hand to speak.
Next.
Yeah, and think about it, how humans actually work too. Is last night I was doing a search to get siding on my house, and I there are a couple of companies I'm looking at, and the company that I'm leaning toward had 250 reviews, 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to see, is this legit? Because I'm a little wary of somebody who's 5 stars all the way across the board. What's happening here? Is this for real? And looked, and they were legit. There were people with pictures in front of their house saying thank you by name to the guy who we've been dealing with. And so those reviews really make a difference when you're looking to invest, whether it's $10 for takeout dinner or whether it's tens of thousands of dollars to do remodeling on your house. And people really look at those reviews. It's a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, reviews are huge. I'm like you. If they have, 100 5-star reviews, I'm maybe going to dig a little bit deeper into that. It's very, difficult. Congratulations to you if that's true. It just kind of puts up a little bit of a red flag for me as well. So yeah, focus on your reviews, get your primary category, add in your services, load up some photos and videos of your crew or of your team or of your building. Make sure that you look like a real company by adding more photos and videos and refresh those on a consistent basis. Nobody wants a stale picture of a truck or your team. So do the photos and videos. The last thing that I would kind of focus on is, and we've seen a lot of really good lift with this, and we call this like in the convert bucket. If you want to convert more leads, not only ranking and getting found, everything else we talked about is more about getting found and building trust. But if you want to convert more people from your Google business profile, make sure that if you have the ability to enable a scheduling partner through your CRM or add a booking link for people to schedule directly from that Google business profile, that can increase your conversion rates dramatically overnight, right? So you're getting found, give them an option to not have to go to your website, give them an option to book an appointment right on your Google business profile if you have something like that. If you don't, it's something I would maybe consider adding into your tech stack in your marketing stack for sure. Anything else from the gallery on Google business profile and anything that you feel like we missed?
The biggest. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Todd.
I was just going to say, reiterating, is to be actively engaging is, again, the optimization thing. It's to add value, and it's not a set it and forget it. There was a time when it was, simply a postcard. Now you've got to engage it, right? The algorithm itself and Google's demands, and that's what they are. They know when there's a piece of collateral, if you will, a review, top content, right? If the hours of ops are changed, if there's people answering question and answer, but primarily those photos and those reviews. And you've got to actively engage and drip on those things, or literally it's just, it makes me think of you see those vacuum cleaners, they put them in reverse and they blow a ball up a tube. And if you pinch the hose, what happens to the ball? It's just going to drop. It loses relevance. So we're in a world, to me, if you're going to monetize your business, and we're talking about Google Business Profile, is you've got to engage that thing. You've got to be actively adding value to it so it stays optimized, visually available. Anyway,
The
back to you.
piece, yeah, the piece that I would add to that is just go in. If you have a Google Business Profile, go into your Google Business Profile every month, every couple of weeks. Just go in there and look, kind of snoop around on the back end on the edit, because anything that you see on Google is that's blue is bad. So that is Google saying, hey, is this accurate or not? Somebody suggested, we have reason to believe that this is your actual address, or that you offer these services. And the longer that you leave Google waiting, the more irrelevant you seem to Google. So your competitor up the street with the same budget as you, who goes in and edits that once a month, Google's going to say, oh, I like those guys, right? So you've gotta just go in, spend the time, do a little bit of time, unless you have a director of marketing who's going to take care of that for you.
Somebody.
Right. Yeah. It's perfect. Well, I think that was a really valuable segment. And, before we close out and go into our next topic for today, I think it's just only right to kind of talk a little bit about this next thing as we shift topics. And so if you're new to the show or you listen every week, you know that we try not to sell you on our services. That's not what this podcast is about. It's about providing real value for you. But when we build something that we know can create outsized impact for local businesses, we got to tell you about it, because ignoring it would be doing you a disservice. So here's the deal. We've been working really hard. And if your business profile isn't showing up on Google, your competitors are stealing your leads, period. And that's why we're doing the Google Biz Blitz. And it's a completely free 45-minute live Google business profile optimization session with Joe. Okay. And he's optimized thousands of Google business profile listings and knows exactly how to boost your ranking fast. Normally, we sell this for $650 like clockwork. But as a podcast listener, you get it for free, plus all our Google Business Profile Playbook suites to help you dominate your local map pack rankings. No fluff, just straight value. So go to summitmediasolutions.com/GBP Blitz or click the link in the description. Lock in your spot before it fills up, because Joe's time is valuable, and we're only going to be doing this offer for the first 20 people that want to take, the initiative and get their Google business profile completely optimized, completely built out from somebody who's done it a ton of times.
Yeah, and can I just say, Zach, on that, why we even started doing this? We were sitting around and just thinking, like, how can we really provide value in a way that it doesn't cost us a ton of money to do? We don't have to build some fancy software for each person. Well, I can just take 45 minutes and help somebody. We can take 45 minutes and just help somebody in a way that we have seen move the needle so many times. So really excited about that.
Yeah, great point. You guys, we had a great summit, the three of us last week, and our heart beats to advocate for small business. Just, I have to throw that in there. At the very top of all of our values, our mission statement is to enhance or add value to others, or to work or to speak on behalf of others. So I don't think it's, I hope everybody that's watching this can tell, this isn't a plug for us. We literally know that there's families that are out there battling and keeping businesses rolling. Kiddos at home, and they're big reasons why. And they don't have anybody advocating for them. So this is our, it's important to us, I guess, to step up and share our expertise, add value. There's no plugs, there's no ulterior motives, there's no hooks, there's no anything. It's just, how can we help and be of service and value to small business first, period. So I appreciate you bringing this up today and offering this to anybody, that's interested. Is just have a level of trust and reach out, and you're in good hands. Last thing I'll say on this is, I'm a metrics guy. Don't diminish the, well, what am I trying to say? Look at Google Insights. So we'll be able to see the history of what this, your Google Business Profile is already producing, and then what it produces after. So
Mhm.
there's literally no downside, and a greater understanding of, wow, this thing really made you a lot of money. Grateful to have
Yeah.
it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Perfect. But Google's not out of our headlines today. And so the next topic today's docket is the great Google disruption. What the heck is going on with Google search,
Whew.
traffic, click through rates, and everybody's favorite topic, AI? Google is adamant that overall total organic click volume from Google search has been relatively stable year over year, according to Google VP and head of search, Liz Reed. The blog post goes on to cite that those who are reporting search is disrupted don't have all the facts or are slicing and dicing the data incorrectly. But we're here to bring you our experience and conclusions we have come up with after chatting with many industry leaders about said issue, and you decide. Trust us or trust the company that had a lawsuit about, and settled $100 million because they stole a bunch of money from people with fake clicks, right? So who are you going to trust? That's not Liz Reed. Not saying that she's the one that did that, but Google as a whole, I think we're pretty, for this panel, we think Google's disrupted and just things aren't quite, I'm not going to sound the alarm bells that say abandon Google completely, but it's definitely not the same Google that we've come to know and love over our 22 love and hate over our 22-year tenure in this space. So Todd, the first question goes to you. Despite popular belief, you actually spend a ton of time in Google Analytics, analyzing trends, looking at the data, breaking it out. I mean, this guy is a whiz when it comes to breaking down the data. So, what is your take on this after looking and spending literal hours in analytics for some of our top partners?
Yeah, here's what the evidence is saying, and this is over a wide base or reference base, that overall search has been disrupted, right? So the new shiny fishing lure gets dragged through the lake, and all of us who use Google as a source of content, right, references, we all saw it, and that's the AI overview. So it again, block and tackles. You just look at the fundamentals of business. So Google runs north of $80 billion of revenue in primarily ad revenue, by the way, from search, and those ad revenues are going down. And I've heard and see and believe anywhere from 12 to as high as 30%, depends on the vertical. And in other words, somebody, a siding contractor you mentioned earlier, versus free legal search, right?
Mhm.
And I have a client I still represent, and they're pretty good sized fish. And 100%, I can tell you by the analytics that their content, not content, but the new unique users to their website is down by 30%. Okay, now what part of that do we own? First of all, it's the truth. Is the optimization. I'm still a big believer in SEO. Why? Because it's playing to future search algorithms called AI overview. Right, that's
Mhm.
those snippets of information are being pulled from rich, relevant, um, websites. As a subject matter expert in that area, the fundamentals are still there. Is how do we get now in front of the AI algorithm? But 100%, it's chopped up. So what
Mhm.
Google was forced to do was put AI overviews in search because their competition was going to do it either anyway. So what they did is give it away they introduced it into search, watched the search volumes go down across the board to something that we all became familiar with. I think it was late in 2022 with GPT. And flat out, it's happened. Now, here's where we sit down on this. So let's conservatively, or I should say responsibly, minimum 10 to as high as 30%, could be higher in some areas. I believe the data it's settled down, but has it not been disrupted? No. Am I giving a complete answer? Yes, to the best of my knowledge. So we still need to provide SEO services. We still need to have rich, relevant content in a website to rank for AI or AEO answer. right? Engine optimization. So we're still playing the game. But long and short of it, it absolutely has. Now, my last piece is it really puts a ton of emphasis on conversions. Good news, because of the way that we play ball and we are value adding, that's a common thread in this pod today in the conversation. We really pay attention to what are those answers that are going to provide us an opportunity to for our clients to rank in AI. What are the answers? And that's to known problems that people are searching, right? And what does that good user generated content look on site so we can be viewed as a subject matter expert? Okay, the point would be that conversions are more important than ever, right? We've got an incredibly competent LLM virtual assistant that we're enlisting on the front page of websites for the sake of conversion, engaging people who are coming to the site that don't necessarily want to read a site, but they're willing to have a conversation with a
Hmm.
competent virtual assistant, right? So conversions are up. What I am seeing, if it's done right, yes, search is being disrupted, no doubt about it. But we're offsetting, really proud to say what I'm seeing in the data, we are offsetting almost the equal percentage. The number of conversions have increased significantly. So this one law firm, as an example, search is off 30%, their conversions are up 32.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I'll take a pause right there, but you've got to be in the game and playing it to me, or you're going to be losing ground. You're
Yeah.
conceding
So
ground that you maybe once had, but yeah, it's
just
disruptive.
to kind of loop around, like to make sure like I'm understanding what you kind of like just said is search is down, traffic is down to websites. However, when you prioritize having a good website that converts traffic, traffic's just people coming to your site. You make money not off of traffic, but you make money off of converted traffic into opportunities. We call them leads. And so we're converting more leads of less traffic. And that's simply because we position our partners to rank well in map pack and in local organic. Because if there's less searches happening, even
Absolutely.
more of a reason to make sure that you're in that top um, three in the map pack and the top three in organic. You're just dealing with less searches. Is that kind of what you were getting at?
Yeah, that pulled it together nicely. The other piece is what we can see in analytics. So it's not our opinions. I mean, we're working off the data, right? The results and the impact of what we've seen. The time on website, I watched it over years just dilute and degrade from minutes. Let's say it's a plumbing contractor, right? So 2.5 minutes, just under 3 minutes, and usually 2 pages or 2.5 pages, if you will, over, average that over a period of time, was fairly common. And I've watched that over the last 5 years, not a long time, go down to seconds. Well, now what we're seeing is a resurgence because again, our nose is to the grindstone. We believe in factual information and solutions. So we're doing these things that we're talking about. And here's the whole point. I'm seeing with clients that allow us to develop their websites in a very deliberate way. When we're not selling our services, we're trying to provide the results to our clients that will monetize many times over what we do. But the point is time on website. If you have a a poor website that's not adding value, it's somebody that's telling a story that you're just bored with. Uh, Transversely on the other side, I'm seeing with the well-built sites,
Hmm.
keeping with these things in mind. I had one, just late last week. Uh, Time on site went up 360%. So we tripled it.
Hmm.
So, in my thesis and my understanding of it, my belief is if you do the right things and playing to an understanding of what Google's demanding, and we're
Hmm.
providing good user generated content in a specific or particular way, when people find us, it's our job to hug and hold them, and we're doing that.
Yeah. Joe,
timelines.
we need to get you in. We need to get you in here because I know you're a brilliant mind. And so I think the question that I have for you, kind of, and you can weave in any rebuttals to what Todd kind of or myself kind of put in there, is we talk a lot about how diversifying your marketing strategy into a more holistic approach can help you and your business from being too disrupted by a shift like this. What's your opinion on that holistic approach, not putting all your eggs in one basket when it comes to your marketing strategy? Do you think it applies here?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think of it, use the analogy eggs in one basket. I guess I think about it like maybe a swing, right? Like a kid swing set. You go to a playground, kind of swing, kids swing along, you cut one of the ropes, what's going to happen to that kid? Kid's going to fall off, right? You cut two of the ropes, yeah, and no more swing, right? And maybe you have like a, I don't know, like a pull up kind of thing. I'll
Party
never stop
over.
this analogy.
Maybe.
But so you do that, and a lot of people are depending on one or two methods of marketing. But you think about like at the school that my kids go to, where my wife teaches, there's this one thing my kids used to play on all the time. It's like a kind of a jungle gym with ropes, right? And the kids can kind of swing around and climb up on there. If you cut one rope on there, what's going to happen? It's maybe going to like sag 2% or something like that.
Hmm.
But all the kids aren't going to fall off of it. Cut two
Yeah.
ropes. Well, what's going to happen then? Maybe you have to avoid that spot. But I think that's it. You need this like a web of marketing, like a spider web with a bunch of different spots. Because yeah, AI, if AI disrupts everything tomorrow and people stop using the internet as we know it, you still need to be selling your product, right? You still need to be getting people in front of you. And something that we talk about, Zach, Todd, you and I talked to you, the three of us talked about this the other day of how do we continue to provide value. What's our mission, even if the internet goes away tomorrow, which I don't think it's going to, but even if it does, and we care about people, the internet's just a tool that we use to provide value. But I think same for marketing is you need to have a lot of different things. So maybe just having those good relationships in the community. It might be some companies use direct mail effectively, or billboards, or radio, or
Hmm.
whatever the case is, but having a diversified portfolio of marketing that's going to be able to serve you well is good. If you're a small company, then keep betting on just the best horse. That makes sense. And you can transition quickly, maybe. But if you're the bigger that you are as a company, the more employees are depending on you, the more families are depending on you, the more clients are depending on your services to help them. You kind of need to have more anchor points on that spider web.
Hmm.
Is my analogy making sense here?
Yeah, I think Jeff's gonna need to like get a new day job where he just visually draws out the analogies that get thrown in this podcast. All right, a little visual, but yeah, it makes sense to me, and I couldn't agree more. Is make sure
Or
that when these disruptions happen, I think thing that I would add here is a couple things, right? And so number one, Google's still getting a ton of traffic. Websites are still getting a ton of traffic. When we talk about a disruption, and we can feel this disruption when it's as little as 5% of a disruption. And if your business is overly risky on Google and Google like items with not focusing on any of the other channels that you need to, that 5% compounds to 20, 30, 50, 60% for you and your business. And so it is disrupting, but I think the holistic diversification makes a 5% disruption that is actually big when you think about processing billions of searches on a daily basis, and maybe even trillions. It's a big deal. So, holistic, take a look at your marketing budget. Make sure that you're spending a little bit of money maybe in the AI realm, right? And making sure, like with people, ChatGPT and Claude and DeepSeek and all of these Perplexity, all these other AI solutions, it might be good to be throwing a few $100 or $1,000 into efforts that will help support you in that. Um, because a lot of people are using that. I just talked to a client. They're like, "Yeah, I've kind of just stopped using Google nowadays. Like I've just been typing searches in for ChatGPT, and I just like it better. I can talk to it and it gives me better responses. It knows me. And so maybe that shift hasn't taken by storm, but either did the internet. And now look where we're at. And we know that better than anybody because we used to do phone books. We don't do those anymore. Internet. And now we're kind of going through a very similar shift, in my opinion, where Google's going to be functioning a lot different than what we have been dealing with. So even more reason to diversify.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
So here's the bottom line on Google disruption. When AI overviews show people click less, Pew Research puts it at 8% versus 15%, and more sessions end right on the search engine result page, meaning that SimilarWeb research shows that zero-click behavior surges towards 80% when an AI overview pops up on the screen. It means that there's zero searches. 20% are clicking a search result. 80% are just taking what the AI outputs and doing another search, going elsewhere. And so that's a massive redistribution of attention away from clicking traditional organic listings. We're still having clients that are performing exceptionally well in that space. We have some that are not performing exceptionally well, and we're diversifying into more holistic methods based on those different pieces of data.
Well, Zach, I'm just thinking about how I used it this weekend. We were doing yard work over the
AI,
three-day weekend.
how you used AI?
Well, an AI search, right?
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Looking up, we planted some hydrangeas and boxwoods, put down weed matting, and we bought rock and mulch on there. And so I was doing searches. I don't know how to garden. I grew up in New York, so I was doing a search and trying to figure out how to do it. And I think in the past I would have just put how to garden, right? And I probably would have clicked on a few different things and seen. Now it was much higher intent. Oh, this is the part that I'm looking for about how to use the weed matting, where to get the weed matting. Click on it. Oh, we're gonna need that much weed matting. We bought some already. We need to go get some more. I'll just order it right now on here on Walmart.com. Right. So, or we bought a bunch of stuff at Suburban Lawn and Garden this weekend. And that was who the AI was bringing up in the searches. So I'm wondering if it's a higher intent kind of thing, right? Is it's taking me, I'm picking where in the overview I actually need help, clicking on that. So I didn't click on as many websites as I would have 2 years ago, a year ago, but I wound up buying from that AI search.
Joe, you just exemplified what I was trying to say earlier and what I'm seeing in analytics across a wide group of service-related businesses. So, and I'm pairing a little bit of my own experiences in there. I really take the overviews. I will go up there and click on it, but it's not a complete answer, if you will. It's a perspective. So I need to click in again. The way the user experience is set up, it's not going to give me the complete answer that I'm looking for. So my intent is going up. I'm using it to source, if you will, and then I'm still needing to click. It falls right into what I was sharing, what I'm seeing in the data is the intent, and you keep the word intent. So I'm using that as a tee up. I'm sourcing through now an additional layer of search to find the information that I want. And since it's giving me a little bit, but it's not giving me the provider and the full perspective, I'm still clicking through. And and that rich, relevant snippet of content, that answer engine optimization, that's something that a term that is going to become very, very common. I'm looking for, in other words, I'm looking for an answer. You just described you did it. Times everybody, by the way, they just don't talk about it like we do. The behavior shows with the higher intent, the click through the AI overview, if that little snippet does not provide it. In other words, I'm just curious, what's a stat in 1962? I'm not going to research that. I'm going, oh, interesting. But if I'm doing something that you're doing, that's not solving my problem. Now I'm going to click into a website. I have already demonstrated much higher intent. I'm much more likely to be on that website that Google chose because the way it was built to add value. Your overview is a stepping stone to your website to provide the answer for your problem, right? It's more qualified, it's more credible. And so the time on the website, by the time I get there, I'm like, this must be a good place to eat, hypothetically, right?
Yeah.
Falls right in line with the data.
Here's my last stat a little
User
bit
content.
on that I kind of missed over, but I think when we talk about screen real estate, it's really important when we are adding things to the results page. Um, and AI overviews actually take up a ton of space depending on the answers providing.
They do.
So AI overviews appeared in up to 47% of Botify and Demand Sphere's research. When an AIO and a feature snippet co-occur, they consume 76% of mobile screen real estate,
Hmm. Wow.
pushing ads down, pushing maps down, pushing organic down.
Hmm.
And so that was just a stat that I kind of overlooked that I thought was really important because we talk a lot about screens real estate and it drives a lot of like human behavior on where they're searching or where they're clicking. Kind of why in our industry we talk about best place to hide a dead body is the second page of Google. How many people click the second page? How many people click the 10th result on the first page? It's it's very, very low clicks. And so want to be mindful of our time, mindful of our audience's time. I think we have two more topics that I'd like to go through. This one's going to be a really easy one. I'm just curious if you guys have any thought on this. Is the silver tsunami opportunity? And so, Entrepreneur just dropped a stat: 1/3 of small business owners plan to exit in the next 5 years, and 70% of them have no formal succession plan or transition or know like who to sell to, whether they're going to sell it. But Main Street, for probably the first time ever, is for sale. Um, and so, do you guys have any takes on that? Like, Todd, I don't know if you have any takes. I think maybe dollar signs are
I'm part of
rolling
the
up. Should we?
70% that has no plan. No, that is not me. That's I totally get it. That's human behavior.
Yeah,
Whether a business owner or not doesn't elevate them in terms of their tendency to have or execute plans very well. But I should let you go ahead. I was like, that was a yeah, man, right? Go ahead and finish the question and maybe round it out a little bit more so you put me on point.
yeah. I mean, I guess the big thing is this is the first time that it's ever happened like this. Boomers are just getting out of their business. We talk to a lot of partners that we've worked with we have some partners that we've worked with for 22 years straight.
Yeah.
Always paid their bill. We always had great relationship with them, and they just were having very successful businesses, doing a lot. And they're just like, I'm done. I'm 70 years old, 65 years old, even maybe 50 years old. Hey, I'm just ready to get out of the business. And so, my question for you would be: should you start acquiring businesses if you were a small business? Because we're starting to see that Wall Street is buying up these businesses, which is putting additional pressure on those that are not in a position to sell their business. And especially in the home service industries, these small businesses that are selling to Wall Street, which they have unlimited budgets. They can, really put pressure on the small businesses. What would be your advice to a small business owner? Should they be thinking about acquiring another business? How do they compete with those that are buying these small businesses up as a Wall Street venture? I guess that'd be the best way for me to frame that up.
Yeah, good tee up. First of all, Wall Street is buying companies that roll up, smaller companies. The big fish eats, right? The smaller fish. There's several layers here. So I'm going to kind of remove that. Our audience is not highly likely not going to be selling to Wall Street, right? There's layers in between. So if we get down to what we see, at the level and the fish that we swim with, in small business, it's I'd say 10 million below, right? Is very bite size. So go back to your stat, and I think you said 70% don't have a plan, and they're not going to either. And I would roll up inside of that a great percentage of those, it's probably, I should say, surprising percentage of those are just going to shut the business down, right? There's no heir apparent, and there's not a value in the business. And again, when we say small business, that's a lot. That's a ton, a ton,
Mm-hmm.
a ton, a ton. So there's several layers or categories within there, within what I would say small business. So I tried to bring context to it. If a business is sophisticated enough, and let me roll back one more time. And I've thought of this too. I'm a 63-year-old guy, right? Is opportunity knocking? Absolutely, it is. Is it exaggerated and more than it has been in the past? I don't think so, and here's why. Economic times tend to diminish the pool or the pool of companies that might be for sale. Two things have exaggerated. The boomer generation is exiting, right? So again, and AI. And AI is pretty much going to be those 1 to 5 people that are putting together several $1 million companies. And that's like an emerging industry within itself across a wide kind of, if you will, swath of different types of competencies within businesses and new
Mm-hmm.
opportunities and types of businesses that are new. That emerging, if you will, group that's going to take it, Gen X, Y, X, Y, and Z, if you will. There's plenty of talent that are going to use the new AI tools across all of those generations. So the way I boil it down, I've really thought about this, is I don't think there's more competition. I don't think there's less. There's a lot of elements here that I've just introduced into, my response to you to consider. When you narrow things down, we're the one thing that we know about people is we're creatures of habits, and that's patterns of thought is what it is. And the tendencies to respond to times like this are not exaggerated because of the fundamentals of how we respond as people didn't change. The circumstances did. So, where do I want to tie this out? I'm not surprised at all. Call it the 70%. I already made my case that okay, set those aside. That's historically probably long proven.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have a slightly exaggerated group of people called boomers who are exiting, but you're talking about the next two emerging generations that are going to adopt AI.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think there's still a lot of smoke in the air as to how things will play out. I think there's opportunities out there for sure for people like us that might look and say, where is somebody that's wanting to exit? And by the way, there's good businesses and bad businesses. I don't care if it's a fire
Mm-hmm.
sale. If you're buying a fire sale, you're buying somebody else's problems already, and that doesn't sound wise.
Right. Right.
Right? You want clean businesses at a certain amount of revenue and tenure. And to me, that's a smart buy. There's mine.
Cool.
Yeah,
Joe, do you have anything?
I probably have a different view of it.
Okay.
Yeah, come on.
The world that I came from in auto repair, smart owners are looking to Wall Street. They're saying, "Hey, we are going to cash out in 5 years. How do we get the biggest multiples? How do we get our EBITDA up? How do we make sure that we are ready
Sure.
to get this ready?" The other piece is there are some really great coaching companies that are saying, "Hey, you need to think about your succession plan. Who is that you want to hand this off to and make a really good win-win-win?" So win for the owner selling probably over a structured deal over 5 years. Uh, Good win for maybe their manager, their 2IC, to, hey, how can I afford to buy this? And a great win for their customers where they're going to have continuity. And so that was really big. So people were looking, and I think that in the conference that I was just at 2 weeks ago in Dallas with a bunch of roofers, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about, hey, how do we sell for multiples to
Mm-hmm.
Wall Street,
Yeah.
to
And I
private
agree with
equity,
that.
and so I think, and for me,
Not
I'm
Wall
I'm
Street.
I'm talking to my kids about, hey, do Is college the way for you, or can you get ingrained, learn a trade, learn a business, and buy a business for cheaper than you would buy a college degree,
Hmm.
and really make your way that way. My kids are probably more like 10 years off than 5 years off, but I think boomers are still going to be looking to sell at that point, because as a generation, boomers haven't planned well financially. We see a lot of boomers who have, because there's so many boomers out there, so
Hmm.
even the top 20% who have planned well, that still leaves 80% who haven't. So they're gonna maybe work for a long time and then figure, hey, how can I get enough to take care of me, get a little bit of the inheritance for the kids, the grandkids. So I think that there's a little bit of both. I think there's a spectrum, because we're talking millions of businesses, right? We're not talking dozens, we're talking
Yeah.
millions. And I think smart investors are going to make a play and make a killing. Some business owners are going to make a killing as they sell. Some are, like you said, they're just going to roll up and say, "Well, I guess
Yeah,
sign on the door says we packed it in." So I think it presents a ton of opportunities to talk a lot. Drop the pebble in the pond, see what happens, and I think that's what's happening right now. Lots of
yeah,
pebbles
dude,
being dropped.
I'll agree with you. Just, I mean, so we can tie things out. Wall Street to me is somebody that's publicly traded. They're
Mm-hmm.
not, partnerships that are banks of money that are roll ups that are
Mm-hmm.
going out and so there is. Uh, I'm agreeing with you, is what I'm saying. I'm just bringing context to the two comments. Wall
Sure.
Street generally is referred to as publicly traded. There
Yeah.
are a lot of very several $100 million companies out there that do nothing but go acquire businesses like you're talking, from young guys that are building and people that are building businesses to be rolled up
Yeah.
and be part of a larger portfolio, maybe for somebody, a fund somewhere that is on Wall
Hmm.
Street.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just to give a little definition or context around what Wall Street is. But I agree with
Yeah.
you.
I always classify it as, VCs having capital, right? And an influx of amount of money by people. And that's just because they usually come from some sort of Wall Street background of investing. And so when you're taking any investment dollars or having somebody managing a fund, I I pretty much always loop those as that's a Wall Street tactic, that's maybe transitioning into and I'm not a VC, right? So
Yeah, it's a
there.
VC.
But I think a big thing here, and this article goes on, and I think this gives a little bit of solace if you guys are listening to this as part of a business, is 43% of owners prioritize legacy and continuity over sale price. So there are business owners that do have a succession plan or are looking to buy, are seeking buyers to protect employees, preserve community relationships, and carry forward the business they spent decades building. And in short, that just means that stewardship now matters as much as capital does.
That's
And
great to
so
hear.
that's a really good thing to hear there. So last topic. This is gonna be a really fun one. I know that it's getting close to time. I know us three, we read a lot of books. We are always sponges on just trying to learn. Todd, yourself, you've read probably hundreds of thousands of books over the years.
It's
Um,
not many, but a lot.
a lot of books.
Thanks,
You have
buddy.
a lot of
Not that
scars
old.
to you know. You might be a vampire for all we know. But I know that we have books that pile up. We read a few simultaneously, and I'm curious about what books you guys either read this summer or one or two that has changed your brain chemistry. And so we'll let beauty and age take this first. Todd, your bookshelf has to have some really good books. How big it is or how many it is, it's got
There's a
some good
lot.
books. So, what is your book recommendation for business owners, leaders, employees? And give us a quick overview without any spoilers. All right.
Yeah. Game changer for me, boy, there's a lot, right? There's a lot. Game changing for me was, I wanted to understand why I thought the way that I thought, and then wanted to be able to improve. And The Power of Habit and Atomic Habits by James Clear. But Duhigg is The Power of Habit. I've read it 3 times. I get something new out of it every time. If I could provide insights to why I think or why I do what I do, and we are big time creatures of habit, right? And I've looked at some stats. Used my friend GPT-5 to reinforce some of these, but it's crazy. It's something like 90% of our thoughts are either sideways or conditioned responses or ones out of preservation. That means less than 10% are thoughts that come to us that serve us in a way that move us forward. And so our habits are the outward expression, if you will, of yesterday's thoughts. And when I got that key that I'm sharing with you, right there, that and there's what comes to mind is there's thousands of thoughts that come to us every single day, but we can't think of them literally all at one. I think it's reticular
Reticular activated system.
activator. Yeah, our activator, right? The and RSI. But it's we go crazy if we had to deal with all of our thoughts.
Mhm.
And so part of these thoughts, as an example, would I have to pick my left leg up, and then I have to pick my right leg up to walk, and I'm gonna shift my weight. At a point in time, I had to think about that, and now I don't have to think about it anymore. So it's on autopilot. But back to I think what's pretty big to answer it is Duhigg is power of habit, gaining insights to why I think the way that I think, why anybody thinks the way they think, and know that 9 out of 10 are wasted or counterproductive thoughts, or even self-sabotaging. They're negative. So how do I get a hold of those things? And I guess my next book would be Emotional Intelligence, is being able to recognize those thoughts and go, wow, I understand that's not a productive thought. I'm going to be consistent in replacing that with this new thought. And the more I do it, I'm going to become, yeah, there you go. Thank you. My habits will be
Yeah.
formed around a different set of thoughts that I'm feeding myself. Power of habit.
So yeah, Power of Habit, Atomic Habits, those are Todd's most impactful, and to give you a bonus, Emotional Intelligence. Todd brought that book in and brought in like 20 of them for our entire team, and our entire team, sales team, fulfillment team, everybody on the leadership team read that book simultaneously as a book club. And today, it's been the most impactful book that the team says this was the best book that you guys ever handed to me. Helped in life, helped in business. So I know Emotional Intelligence was the
Very cool.
bonus, but that book gets brought up often inside our organization and definitely should make your reading list or your team's reading list. Must read for sure.
For sure.
Joe, what have you
Man,
read recently? Changed your thinking, or however long ago, or more recent? What do you got for us?
well, I'm more thinking about a book that Todd talks about or you mentioned rewired our brains, right? And I'll say the Bible, right? I'm gonna put that one aside though. That is, the one go to often and have my mom raised me going to. So I'd say that is the most influential. But I'll say recently written leadership books is Leadership and Self-Deception by the Harbinger Institute. If you have not read that yet, do yourself and everybody around you a favor and read that. It is a short read, 100 pages, 120 pages, or something like that. Very easy to read, easy language. I have read it probably 5 times and still gain insights from it. Recommended it, bought it for people. Right? Think about it all the time. My wife and I use language from that. She's read it a bunch of times too. We use language from that book a lot, just internally. Second book, I was going to go with um, Good to Great by Jim Collins. That's up there, but I'm actually going to go David and Goliath by why am I blanking on his name? He also wrote Blink and Outliers. Malcolm Gladwell. David and Goliath. I try and read everything that he writes, but that one really reframing the challenges that we have and seeing the opportunity through the challenge.
Yeah,
And
cool.
so that those two huge in my mind, bunch more. We should talk about just a book a week or something. But I'd say those ones really were influential for me.
Awesome. Yeah, I've had to jot down that David and Goliath and that leadership and self deception. Good to Great's obviously a great one. So you got a couple bonuses in there from
It
Joe.
started out good, but it got great.
Yeah.
You mentioned 4.
Yeah,
I
that's
did.
awesome.
4.
And the Bible is actually 66 and 1, so
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
fair, fair.
I gave 2. He gave 4. That means you're pulling 8, and everybody's gonna tap out before they listen to 6.
Yeah, no, I've just got I got two books here that have been really impactful for me. The first book that I'll have is probably the toughest book that I've ever read in my life, but probably the most impactful, and I've read it a few different times.
Wow.
And that is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. So, Marcus Aurelius was the emperor of Rome in 161 to 180 AD, and at the time, the most powerful man in the world, and considered the last good emperor before the fall of Rome. So, there's 5 good emperors. He was the last one to rule. He ruled an empire that stretched across Europe, North Africa, and Middle East. And during his reign, he faced near constant crises, brutal wars, political unrest, devastating plague that killed just millions. And what makes Marcus remarkable isn't that he ruled, it's how he ruled. So he was not drunk on power. He tried to live as a servant leader, and he was deeply humble, committed to duty, and guided by Stoic philosophy. The great cool thing about Meditations, it was never meant to be released to the public. It was never meant to be a book. It was not written as a book. Meditations was his private journal and notes to himself on how to stay disciplined, grounded, and focused while carrying the weight of the world. And so you read Meditations, it's not necessarily like an abstract theory or framework. It's like his field notes through that time and period. And that's kind of what makes it a little bit harder to read, is it's not written for people. It was written for him and his notes. It was also, 161 to 180 AD. So they kind of spoke a little bit differently. Then But it's crazy to think that the 2,000 years later, that book, he talks about a couple things. He talks about like waking up cold in the morning and like not wanting to get up, and like the battle that he's having with himself on like, I've got to rule this emperor. I'm the emperor of this. I've got to lead these people, but like I just want to stay in my bed, and like that just really resonated to me. Because who doesn't feel like that? He talks about ego being dangerous, and where like pride and complacency kill businesses. So he's always a student, tries not to be arrogant. Reflects on death, says don't stew on these decisions. Memento mori. Remember you're mortal. You're going to die. And then duty over desire. So he was considered the last of the good emperors. Very impactful book. I think it took me like 4 months to read like a page a day. But so that's one that I think everybody should read at some point in their life. It's a journal. And then the next one that has probably been that I referenced the most, Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. Written by 2 former Navy SEALs commanders, the book translates battlefield leadership and situations into business lessons. The core message of this book is leaders must take complete responsibility for the outcomes for their teams and for the failures. No excuses, no blame. All of that doesn't move organizations forward. And so you have to own everything in your world. And if the team fails, it's the leader's fault. And so it's extreme ownership on situations. Talks a lot about, going into battle and life and death situations. And if he doesn't prepare or they don't prepare as the leader, and something goes wrong, it's their fault. So it kind of cuts through excuses. There's no bad teams, only bad leaders. And it just kind of really reframed my thought process on what it means to lead people, and definitely recommend it. Strips away the excuses and forces leaders and entrepreneurs to look in the mirror first. So very impactful for me. Those are my 2 books. But you got 6, 7 books at this point, or 66 plus 6, as Joe said. Any closing thoughts as we wrap up this marathon? Another great podcast by the High Ground.
I'm just thinking about Marcus Aurelius, and if Joaquin Phoenix didn't kill him at the end of Gladiator, we maybe would have had a few more great meditations in there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
He
was mentioned.
I just didn't, again, I'm like, no, check it out. Don't go there, but you did.
Oh, I did. That's where I go, man.
I think big thing on that is like I had a couple friends that talked about the Gladiator, and I told them about Marcus Aurelius, and told them that he was tied into the Gladiator, and he's like, oh, I just thought that was a fictional person. It's like, no, that was a real person based on a real
Was that the
situation.
real Marcus Aurelius in that movie?
Yeah, it actually was.
Okay.
Which is crazy.
In 1 or 2, Gladiator 1 or 2.
Hey, what did you guys think of Gladiator 2? Was it good?
Yeah, I wasn't a fan.
I wasn't a fan. I enjoyed it. I thought they did the best that they could. I didn't. It's not Gladiator by any means, but it's not the worst movie I've seen of 2025.
How about next time we'll go with impactful movies. Give us some thought.
Love it. Tune in next podcast. You'll get our most impactful movies. So
March of the Penguins. Gotta go. All right.
See you guys.
Yeah, more soon.
Deuces.
Out.